Welcome to Round Hill Radio. Through our conversations, we discover the holy and the ordinary, look for moments of grace and peace, and redefine what we're talking about when we talk about faith. Hey, Lillian.
Hello.
How are ya?
I'm cozy.
You are cozy. For our audio listeners, she is on the couch and making it super cozy today.
And I've got a cup of tea, and I'm going to try to not make it your problem.
Thank you. Our ears appreciate that. Those of us who don't like mouth sounds.
Slurping sounds.
Not so much. Are you? I was actually thinking about this the other day. Are you not a coffee person? You're a tea person?
I'm a tea person. Yeah.
I was just watching.
This is the cutting edge scoop that the podcast gets. I am a big black tea drinker.
Mm-hmm.
And herbal teas. Mostly black teas and herbal teas, but
black teas and herbal teas.
If you ever see me sipping something, it's either water or tea, probably. Sorry.
I love it. I have a controversial question for you. What do you put in your Earl Grey tea? How do you like your Earl Grey, if you drink Earl Grey?
I put a splash of milk in my Earl Grey.
A splash of milk, okay. I just say I'm also... Yes, that is apparently wrong. But I also do that. I love milk and Earl Grey, but people get mad at me about it because they say Earl Grey is supposed to have lemon.
Well, any tea... You can put like lemon, or you can put.
You can.
It's personal preference, but yeah.
I feel like we should just start a tea podcast at this point.
Exclusively about
tea. I would be all into that. That would be very fun. But today we are talking about another sort of, I'm not gonna say cozy. This is not quite the right vibe,
mm-hmm.
but we're going to talk a little bit about our upcoming longest night service that we are planning together. This was your idea, and I'm so excited for it. And I just want to talk a little bit about it. It's coming up on Saturday, December 20th. So if you're listening in advance of that, you could actually join us both in person and online. I just wanted to get the behind the scenes, get why, this was like the thing you wanted to bring to our community and why you felt called to do that. All the things. So give us a little behind the scenes, a little background.
Yeah, so I first went to a longest night service at my home church. Mm-hmm. So I think I've talked before on the podcast that I converted to Christianity when I was in undergrad. And my home church had a longest night service. And so I went, and I forget if I was really excited to specifically go to this service and watch it and see it and experience it, or if it was kind of we have this service this day and this service this day, and I was like, well, I'll go, I'm free. But the idea of a longest night or Blue Christmas service is that oftentimes they happen around the winter solstice, so the longest night of the year, hence the name. And it is a service that holds space for feelings other than joy during the holiday season. So oftentimes they're very much associated with grief or loss. So a lot of people who have lost their spouses or family members, and this is the first Christmas without them, it is very difficult for many people to enjoy Christmas knowing that this is this huge milestone and you don't have this person with you. Mm-hmm. But they're also, I don't know, especially in the year of our Lord 2025, I think that there's a lot of complicated feelings around climate anxiety or just things happening around the world, violence, loss of life, that it's hard to just be merry when in the back of your mind you're remembering all of these things that are constantly unfolding. Mm-hmm. And so the longest night service is kind of this space where you're given the opportunity to slow down and sit in your feelings. So it's a more quiet, slow-paced, reflective service. Mm-hmm. And I just remember going to my first longest night service and watching one of us in the congregation, and she just started crying and crying, and like we were, people next to her were hugging her, offering tissues, and it's just can be such a release of sinking into this space and being like, there are no expectations for how I am presenting myself right now.
Right.
There are no expectations about what I should be feeling or how I should be so happy. And that's a kind of worship service that I really, really love. I think that oftentimes the seasons that, like the holidays that stick out, are the ones that we can like celebrate and be happy about. And there's a lot of, you know, praise and joy, and there's a lot of kind of in Christianity examples of how God can be good and how to celebrate holy joy. But I think there's more hesitation about holy lament and what it means to turn to God in pain and have it not always get better. And so holding space for like that coexistence of deeply wanting comfort but not knowing what comfort looks like, and feeling pain and feeling alone and not wanting to be alone, and wanting God but not knowing if God will, and that like confusion, holding space for all of that in a very holy way is something that I really love. So when I went to Ed and I went to the worship committee and I was like, hey, I really want to do this service, and they went, you'll do all the work. And I went, well, most of the work. And then they were like, you can do it. And then I went, sorry, Leslie, it's another Saturday.
No, it's great. I know. I think it's really special. And I feel like there's something about, at least I can only speak for myself, but there's something about when you're in a difficult time, I tend to get quite insular. I tend to isolate myself and like deal with it on my own. And I think there's something really beautiful about this space you're creating of saying like, a lot of us have hard things. So let's be together with no expectation of like, it's not like you're going to be sitting around and talking about it unless you want to be. But it's this idea that you can just be together. And I think, you know, we'll have some really beautiful music. Our incredible soloist, Risa, is going to come and sing. And I think we're going to have some great hymns. You know, some hymns maybe we're not as familiar with. There's some hymns that are often used at Christmas time. And so I think that this time together, I think, is creating something really special and really speaking to our community as a community of supporting each other beyond, you know, what maybe the obvious things are, I guess.
Yeah. And I think the other thing that my gears are turning is, I think oftentimes there's this internal or external expectation of, I'm like, if I go to church, like, I don't want to like bring the mood down. Like, I don't want to be a bummer. I don't want to like show up to coffee hour and like be sad.
Right.
And when I first started divinity school, we have like a new student orientation. And my orientation group leader in that, like, one of the first meetings was like, said like, I'm a weeper. When I was first going to like worship services, I would just like start crying.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad she said that, because for some reason, when I first started divinity school, I would go to worship and I would just start crying. Aww. And I was like, and I still sometimes I'll like attend a worship service and I'll just start crying.
Yeah.
And there's this part of you where on the one hand, you're like, wow, I'm feeling these like feelings I want to embrace. And like, obviously it's like good that something is like sparking within me that like is touching these like kind of deep parts of my soul. Yeah. But also then there's like the part on top of your brain where you're like, you're crying at church and everyone's looking at you.
No.
And so I think there is this hesitation maybe of like
Sure.
not wanting to be a downer at church, or not wanting to, or feeling very vulnerable, having emotions and really strong emotions during a worship service. So we will have tissues.
Good.
This is
Can I,
the one to cry in. Sorry.
I also want, no, I also want to like dive into that a little bit deeper, because I wonder if there's a level of like crying in public, which honestly, if you can't cry in church, where can you? And also this idea that I think, I don't, I feel like some in our community are really good at giving help and less good at asking for help. And I feel like there's an element of when you have tears running down your face, there is a natural human thing of your neighbor wanting to like connect with you, check in on you, and I feel like that idea that there's a sort of like, do you know where I'm going with this? That like there's something
Yeah.
about like if you're crying, you feel like people are going to ask if you're okay. And I feel like, only me again, but I feel like I sometimes don't want that. I'm like, just let me, just let me talk to
let
me.
me cry.
But you don't want to bother anybody.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a very natural inclination. I feel like it's very common in our community. Like I said, everyone's really good at giving help, and we're maybe less comfortable with like receiving it.
And I think, and I'll also clarify, I'm like, there are some faith communities where like you want to be crying,
Sure.
but ours is one where it's
more-
a little more
more-
reserved. And I think
Yes.
that
It does happen. You see
it's
tears all the time.
it's
That's
so
okay.
scary to be like vulnerable, and to feel vulnerable, and to trust people to either respect if you say like, oh, I'm good, I'm just crying, don't mind me.
Yeah.
And like either trust that your neighbor will understand that,
Mhm.
or if you have something that you want to talk about, trust that your neighbor will take care of you. And I think that in the season of Advent, I'm workshopping a children's message
Got
on
it.
vulnerability.
Excellent.
So this is great. But like the whole thing about Advent is that God is born the most vulnerable creation
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah.
Also crying. And so I think that like vulnerability, and also like letting yourself be vulnerable to yourself, and like admitting to yourself that you have certain feelings, can be really tough.
Yeah.
But being vulnerable is not a bad thing, because if it was a bad thing, God would not have been born vulnerable.
There was the demonstration of it from the very beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. Thinking back to your earlier comments about the service, I had to share that I learned something new yesterday. I was reading an article about, do you know the movie White Christmas?
I don't know very many movies.
Well, it's one of the best movies of all time. It's right up there as far as Christmas films. It's like Muppet Christmas Carol, White Christmas vying for first place in my world.
Okay.
Bing Crosby, Rosemary Clooney. I mean, the dance numbers are just like, it's everything. It's everything. You guys should definitely watch it.
Oh.
It's possibly the best Christmas movie of all time. Just, it's not possible to oversell this movie. To our
Okay.
listeners, they're all probably nodding, going, it's the best movie. I would rent this movie, check out this movie from the library when I was growing up in like June. Because it's a year-long experience for me.
Well, you're getting ready for Christmas in July.
Precisely. But I digress. So, the titular song of the film White Christmas by Irving Berlin turns out, so Irving Berlin, born Jewish, and also his son, it turns out his baby son, died on Christmas Day. And he was like, well, I'm never going to he married a Christian. And so he had like, Christmas trees in his house and everything. And he was like, I'm never gonna like Christmas again. And so White Christmas, I was reading this article about like the different layers in that song. And it really connected with me, that idea that like it's sort of there's always been layers to it. And I think, the more we can acknowledge that, the more real I feel like the joy can be when we kind of acknowledge all the different layers that are inherent in it when you're no longer 3.5 and everything's twinkle lights and Santa.
Holidays are so weird. I'm thinking of the kind of balance between wanting a holiday to like be this like very beautiful, perfect, special thing, but also not wanting to put so much pressure on it that you can't just like enjoy it as a day.
Yeah.
Or not enjoy it as a day, because so this is like a sideways memory, but when I was doing my unit of CPE is clinical pastoral education. Essentially, I was a chaplain intern part-time for a year, or like 10 months or whatever. I was working at a hospital. And one of the things that was kind of every once in a while part of my training was helping facilitate groups, either inpatient or outpatient. And one of the groups that we were doing, I remember part of the conversation was like, what does it look like to have a holiday that looks completely different from like every holiday they've had in the past?
Right.
This was a group, people were inpatient. They weren't going to be home for the holidays. I think it was like Thanksgiving or Christmas or something. And it's like, on the one hand, can you force yourself to like feel something very specific about it? And on the other hand, part of the thing that I wanted to say was like, the thing about holidays is they do happen every year.
Right.
So if this one is a bust, for whatever reason, or like, I remember a couple of years ago, everyone had like COVID Christmases, where it's like, what grace can you give yourself that if it can't be exactly how you wanted it, you kind of like relax into the fact that it won't be that way. And I think it's like a really tough balance. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like for me, I've moved around a fair bit, not a ton, but like enough that Christmases look very different over the years. And I find for me, it's about creating sort of little moments rather than expecting there to be like a checklist of things for it to be like a successful holiday. For me, I want to have like a little moment here and a little moment here, and like I take a weird joy in wrapping presents. I find that really fun. And I go completely overboard. It's so fun. But like those little things that I can do for myself that like create those moments together. I'm thinking about, is that Marcel?
Yeah, he was running by meowing.
Oh, we heard him.
He's sitting over there.
He's amazing. He's like, I have thoughts, guys. I have thoughts. I was remembering, so we did, I don't know if I told you. Did I tell you about the parking lot Christmas Eve we did?
I don't know.
So this was like, big time COVID time. This is the COVID Christmas. And we had everybody in their cars heart like facing, it was like a scene out of the movie Cars. Like everybody was facing in. And Ed and your predecessor Dan and I were standing sort of in the like island in the middle, and we had a Christmas tree, a fake Christmas tree with lights on it that kept falling over. And we had like prayers, and I sang some stuff, and like it, but it's, I think of it so fondly now because it was so weird, you know, that like, but we created this kind of like
it's like a drive-in movie.
It was
but
a
for church.
It was drive-in Christmas Eve with the team doing our best, and I think of it really fondly now because it was just like making the best of it.
Yeah,
you know, and like
it
was very Charlie Brown Christmas tree situation. You know, the whole thing was like you had to hold it loosely and you had to laugh because it's like, what else are you gonna do? And it was, I think back on that really fondly. It was actually really special because it was just like humans trying their best to make something happen. And I feel like, to me, I feel like that's where the sort of Christmas magic is in people trying to make something special. And I feel like it always works. You know, people put in that little bit of, you know, fairy dust or whatever. It creates something really cool. So that was one for the books for sure.
Oh my gosh.
And something else. Well, we would love to see you on Saturday, December 20th at 3:30. You could be here in the sanctuary, or we are actually going to be live streaming it. This is our first foray into live streaming, and your friendly neighborhood tech girl over here is stressing out, but I think it's going to be really great.
And then after that, on Wednesday.
And next Wednesday, we're going to do Christmas Eve. That's right, at 4 o'clock.
Speaking of Christmas magic.
Christmas magic. Oh boy, we do Christmas magical around here. So that will also be live streamed, yes, at 4 o'clock. I had to think for a second what time it was. So we would love to have you join us for those services. They're going to be really special, and we're really excited about offering these as live streams and creating a real community aspect to your experience of these special services with us. I think it's going to be really special. We are excited to welcome you in whatever way you choose to join us and really creating that time.
Live streams will also still live on our YouTube channel.
Absolutely. If you can't catch
no excuses. You can.
If you cannot catch it live, it will live on our YouTube channel just like all the other online worship services. So we can't wait for you to join us, and thank you so much for joining us here today. Round Hill Radio is brought to you by the friends and members of Round Hill Community Church. For more information, please visit roundhillradio.org.
Big difference to us. Like the video, subscribe if you aren't, and click the notification bell and select all. Thank you.